Welcome to Fix It Home Improvement, covering projects that every homeowner should know and great products for home and garden.
Hi, I'm JC, and this is where we share weekly home improvement tips. I'm here with my co-host, Cindy.
Hello, JC.
Hi, Cindy. Today we're going to be talking about toolboxes, bags, and belts. We'd like to thank Marcel Springorum for liking and sharing the podcast. The first toolboxes were made out of wood, and in the 1800s, they were usually an open rectangular box with these A-shaped ends that held a round rod, and that's what they used as a handle. Mm-hmm. In the early days, apprentices, their last project or their final exam was to build their own toolbox so that they could hold their tools, which is pretty smart. Mm-hmm. Some of these really are interesting because they've got wood planks. If you see some of these old boxes that have been saved, like the antique ones, like my ma used to collect some of these, and I've seen some people, they take these old wooden toolboxes, they turn them upside down, mount them on the wall, and they use the handle as a towel rack.
Oh, that's cute.
To store and organize your tools, most homeowners are going to want to use a toolbox or a tool bag. If you plan on doing a lot of projects, you plan on having a lot of tools, then one of the tool chests are really nice. They have the pull-out drawers. Mm-hmm. Great if you have a garage to put it into. And you would want to base either your box or your bag on the tools you plan to have. So,
what do you mean by that?
So if you've got a lot of different tools, and especially depending on the size, that's going to help guide you to whether you want a bag or a box or what size bag or box you're going to use.
So for example, like the huge tool bag that you have currently.
I hurt my back a couple times lifting it.
Every single time you pick it up, you hurt your back. However, and it's just the way you loaded it, because just because we own 30 different pairs of pliers, we don't have to have them all in one bag.
But you never know.
Yeah, right, but I'm pretty sure
the problem
would cover it.
And that's one tip that we'll give is if you have a wide assortment of tools, you should really have a couple of different bags or boxes so that you can group whatever your project is. And the problem is sometimes if we're doing a video or running to, somebody's house to help them with a project, I try to put everything
every tool that you own into this one thing.
Right, exactly. So I've got these large pipe wrenches and large adjustable pliers that are just so heavy, and it makes it unwieldy.
Yeah, and then like 16 different screwdrivers, a couple saws, tape measures. It was like the other day we needed a stud finder here at the condo. At my condo, I know we have probably 10 different stud finders, and yet I
piled them all into the box.
Into the one bag, the
just
one big
in case.
bag. Yeah.
So the key is matching your tools to whatever you're thinking about purchasing. For example, if you're going to be having a lot of long tools like a handsaw,
right,
it's convenient to have a box where it'll actually fit into it. So think about, your hammer, your screwdrivers. Most homeowners are going to have a couple of wrenches and pliers. Electrical testers, box cutters, stud finders, tape measures. What is this assortment? And would it make more sense to just have a very small box just to keep it organized if you only have a few tools? Or, and do you plan on going anywhere with this box?
Right. You want to start with toolboxes?
So toolboxes are going to range anywhere from 12 inches to over 30 inches, and a basic toolbox is going to have this large open area. Mm-hmm. Most of them are going to have a removable tray that pulls out so you can put, maybe small items, razor knives and stud finders, if you have, small nuts and bolts in that top tray, and then your main tools in the bottom large open area. Mm-hmm. Metal toolboxes are very durable, but they're prone to corrosion. So if they get scratched up, and they can be heavy. Plastic boxes are lighter, they're rust-proof, and with plastic boxes, it's really important that you try them out. I've had a few over the years, especially when I first started, investing in real estate. I just bought these cheapy boxes, and the lids and the latches don't fit well. And inexpensive boxes can have really cheap hinges,
right,
and even the latches, so they'll snap off.
A lot of the newer plastic boxes will have a metal latch,
right, which is smart. Yeah, I would definitely go for more durable if you're purchasing something like that. And with a metal toolbox, I would always line the bottom and the trays with either cork or some non-slip vinyl liner.
So they sell like rolls of cork, right?
Right. So you can go to the hardware store and get a roll of cork, and that's what I used for years because it was inexpensive. You just cut it to size. It cushions your tools, and it keeps. Because my dad would always buy me when I first started a metal Craftsman toolbox, which were great. I mean, they lasted for years. But again, I would fill those with so many tools and it'd get so heavy that sometimes the latches would bend, and when I would jerk it out of the back of a work car,
because it was so heavy, you needed some momentum.
Exactly, you had to get it going, man. I was cheating, when I was pulling it out of the trunk, and I would bend up the latches. Mm-hmm. So again, another reason to have a couple of boxes. But two of the top liners for your toolbox, one is called Grease Bully, and it's a drawer liner, and this is a professional grade. It's acid and grease resistant. And then Husky has a drawer liner that was rated very high, and this is a solid surface liner, and it's made out of non-slip material.
So is this going to be like by the contact paper?
Well, again, it depends on the hardware store that you go to. I've seen a couple of them on the base deck, like by the toolboxes.
Mm-hmm. What are some top-rated companies?
So Craftsman has their basic toolbox. This is their metal 2-latch box. It has a removable drawer. Mm-hmm. This is the one that I started out with when I started investing, and just a real nice toolbox, very durable. Stanley has a 28-inch structural foam toolbox. So this is plastic. It's hardened. They've got a 19-inch also that's rated very high by users. And what I like about these, like a 28-inch toolbox, is you're going to be able to fit in nice long hand saws into it, so a nice variety of tools. Mm-hmm. The Stanley Click and Connect toolbox. Mm-hmm. So it's click, then the letter N, connect. And this is plastic and modular. So this is pretty wild. It's actually two toolboxes in one. The top part is pretty much a standard toolbox. It's got a lid with little extra storage areas in it. Mm-hmm. And then that top toolbox snaps onto an organizer tray. Oh. And that tray has a lid, so it's really nice. So if you've got, an assortment of little parts and things, nuts and bolts and, mm-hmm. toilet bolts that you want to keep with your toolbox, you can kind of combine these. So I thought that was a really nice idea. If you want to be really organized with your toolbox, you've got toolboxes with pull-out drawers, mm-hmm. which is nice because now you can keep groups of tools together, which makes it really easy to find. Where a traditional toolbox, you open it up and it's got a big void where mm-hmm. everything's kind of on top of each other. So Keter has a 3-drawer toolbox that's rated very high, and that's Keter. And Craftsman is really popular with the metal pull-out drawers. Mm-hmm. And because they're metal, and the drawers and the slides, they tend to be heavier.
Right.
So these are usually the toolboxes if you're going to be using a nice assortment of tools, but you don't plan on moving the box a lot.
So is this something that you keep like on a workbench in your garage?
Yeah, these would be perfect for that.
So my dad has one of these, and you're supposed to put everything back into the drawers, right. But he kind of piles everything on top so that the lid is closed,
right.
or the drawers are closed, and everything is just like stacked all around the stuff because apparently pulling out the drawer was way too much work. Yeah. So it's just like, well, where is it? Well, he always says go to that toolbox
right.
with the drawers on it, but
Yeah.
Just like, I'm sure at one point, like 30 years ago, it was in there.
Right. Use a label maker. So
yeah.
each drawer has a thing. Plano, it's Plano, and they have something called their Stow and Go toolbox. So mm-hmm. it's Stow and then the letter N again. And this has a pull-out organizers. So each has its own snap-on lid. So rather than a drawer that's affixed to
right.
the toolbox, mm-hmm. you can actually pull these out, and you've got a little separate organizer with its own lid.
Oh,
so that's kind of interesting. And then you can get cantilever styles. This has a lid that opens in 2 directions, mm-hmm. those cantilevered trays. So there's one company called Excel. It's EXCEL, and they have a 5-tray cantilever style. This is really nice because it's staggered. It really allows you to get into the box. So the bottom of the box, you can hold your larger tools, and then each drawer you can organize your hand tools.
Yeah, it looks fancy too.
Milwaukee has an interesting toolbox, and this is called their Job Site Workbox. So it's square-shaped. And
this is super cool.
So it's got these vertical trays that you can put your screwdrivers and pliers onto, mm-hmm. and then it slides into grooves, and the tools are actually vertically stored.
Right.
So this drops in, you can pull it out to get your tools. As you reach in, it's very easy to see everything because you're looking right at the top or the end of your tools.
Instead of the typical death trap of
right
reaching in.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the saw.
And what's really cool is it has a lid that's designed to become a seat for your projects.
Like
yeah. So easy to carry around, easy to organize, and then you've got a stool.
Nice.
There are a bunch of toolboxes now with wheels,
mm-hmm.
which I would have loved when I was remodeling homes.
Yeah, it's like got its own little cart with it.
Yeah, it's hip. So Stalwart, Stalwart, has this tool chest with wheels. It's modular. So the top is a traditional toolbox. The middle has a pull-out drawer, and the bottom has this tilt-out bin, so you can drop like your circular saws and things into it, and it's got a handle and wheels.
That's nice.
So just, I mean, if you have a large home and you plan on doing projects, you can drag this from place to place. You know, if you're big with helping friends and family with your tools, then it just makes it easy to load up into the car and then bring it into a project.
Well, even if you're keeping it in your garage and you want to just move it from side to side.
Right, yep, when you're cleaning, sure. Yeah. Keter has something, so Keter has their Master Pro sliding box, and this is just a great big chest on wheels, so it almost looks like a cooler, and so the top has sliding bins. It can be used as a seat also, so I like that. Stanley has their mobile work center, so Stanley has a couple of really high-rated toolboxes on wheels. A couple of these are more maybe for a professional, but if you have a lot of tools, they have something called their 3-in-1 mobile work center. It has a large toolbox on top and a large bin on the bottom, and then wheels. Top-rated high-end mobile toolboxes from DeWalt, and they have their Tough system. So this is modular boxes that you can mix and match all these different types of toolboxes, and then you have this 2-wheel carrier that it all clips into.
You know, as like a gift idea, if you're thinking about getting somebody that likes home improvement stuff.
So you buy the 2-wheel carrier, and then
and then just every year you just get them another one. And then they have like one that's like 20 feet tall.
There you go. Another way you can organize your tools is with a tool bag, and I started moving away from toolboxes after a few years because I was getting heavier and heavier, the toolbox, and I kind of wanted to...
Because that's not happening with the tool bag, as we discussed earlier.
I wanted to organize a little bit better, and what I was finding is with my toolbox, I was dropping, these pipe wrenches and larger, heavier tools onto my delicate equipment, so my stud finder, my electrical testers, and it was just a drag because there was no good area to organize. So these tool bags have nice pouches and compartments to store your tools vertically, and you have a large open area inside. So I could throw my extension cords or a drill in the center of this, but then you've got all these pockets to keep it organized. And the toolbox, at least for us, because we were doing so much work in all these homes, it was getting dirtier and dirtier. I mean, I was breaking up boxes of nails and screws, and it was just a mess. I spoke to Mark Clement. Him and his wife Teresa have the radio show and podcast My Fix It Up Life. They're both contractors, and Mark prefers a bag to toolboxes because it becomes this pile of big mess in the bottom of a toolbox. And his top pick is a canvas rigger's bag. So he likes the Duluth Trading Company, that's Duluth, and this is based on a design that sailors have used for centuries.
That's interesting.
So it's a duffel bag style with all these tool pockets all around the outside of the bag. So it has this very wide center opening, very easy to get into. And because this style is inexpensive, Mark suggests to have a few of these, and then you load each one for whatever type of project you're doing. So
maybe all of your pliers aren't in one bag.
Right. So this is pretty smart. He loads one up with his power tools and his extension cords, another one with his basic tools, and then one for his painting projects.
Oh, that's
so
smart.
He can load up paintbrushes, roller covers all around the pockets.
Yeah, because it's so hard to keep all that stuff organized for painting.
Yeah. You know where duffel bags originated?
Can't say that I do.
So in the 1600s, Spanish and Portuguese sailors figured out if they took all the scraps left over from repairing the sails, that material was waterproof and much more durable than the material they used for, carrying their supplies. And then the best material they found was made in Duffel, Belgium.
I was going to ask, why is it called a duffel bag?
Yeah, weird, huh? So the name stuck. And then
Shouldn't it be called a sailor bag?
Or the Belgian bag. In World War II, duffel bags became popular because the Army was passing them out to soldiers. And then in the 50s and 60s, after the war, all these sailors just loved it because it's convenient for, whatever they needed.
Nice.
When you're thinking about a tool bag, think about your assortment of tools and then how those shapes will fit with the bags and pouches in that one. And I like something with as wide a mouth, wide as opening as possible. Because I bought one expensive tool bag, and it was fantastic pouches on the inside and outside, but it didn't open wide enough. So it was just a bear to try to get my hand in there, especially trying to put larger things.
Well, and to see what's in there.
Right, yeah, exactly. If you have heavy tools, I would say get something with a strap. Just makes it easy to move around.
I would be careful too with the pouches to make sure that the tools that you're fitting in there actually fit.
Right.
Because I've seen you carry a lot of these bags, and, you know, again, with all the pliers that you have on the outside of it, you tend to leave a trail because there's so many on them that when you're swinging it, or, you know, to hoist it up, you could leave a trail because the stuff don't fit
match
it.
Match your tools to the shape of the pouches. Yeah, absolutely.
What are some top-rated companies for tool bags?
So CLC, it's Custom Leathercraft. They have some very highly rated bags, and they have a wild variety. So they have some with built-in speakers, so you can plug your smartphone into it while you're working, integrated LED work lights, and they also have backpack styles.
Yeah, that's cool.
Stanley Fat Max tool bag was rated very high. This has very large outside pockets and a very wide opening. DeWalt, the 18-inch open-top tool carrier. This has 18 exterior pockets, 16 on the inside, and this is kind of like an old-fashioned toolbox. So it's open on the top. It has a handle in the center, and then you can put a strap on it. Klein Tools, that's Klein. They have top-rated professional bags, and another of the top-rated companies for tool bags is Veto Pro Pack. So it's Veto Pro Pack. I spoke to Roger, the owner of Veto Pro Pack, and he has a background of building lobster boats.
Interesting.
And then he moved into building homes, and he started out with these wooden toolboxes, and then he designed his own line of tool bags because of all his experience. And he has one line that looks like that old wooden box. So it's got this center handle with this open top design, and the open area is designed to hold all the tools vertically, so nothing's piled on top of each other. And then his other bags are really unique. So they have pouches on both sides of this center panel, and it has a soft cover that folds down and to the side. So it's very easy to access your tools.
Interesting.
And these are tiered, so it doesn't have like a center pouch area.
Right.
So it's very unique. And then it has this really thick waterproof bottom. So you can set it down, you know, like if you're on a construction site, you know, you can set it down in mud or whatever, and it's not going to get your bag wet.
Well, even though most bags probably have feet on them, I've always been concerned when you're placing your bag down.
Right, some of the cloth ones or canvas, right?
Is everything going to get soaking wet, and then you're putting it back into the car?
Right.
Especially if we're driving my car.
Well, the tools, too, you know, getting damp and rusting up.
Yeah, so waterproof base is really smart.
Yeah, very smart. Another way you can store your tools or keep them organized if you only have a small grouping of tools is with a tool belt. So you've got everything in one place. They're in easy reach. And then you put this belt on and
you look really handy.
Well, you look macho. And everything's within hand reach. And so when you're using a belt, you want to organize the most frequently used tools on your dominant side. And then they come in canvas, nylon, leather. Most pros like the leather belts because they're strong, they're durable, and they like the really thick leather. And I've seen some of the old timers, they've had these belts that they look like they've been restitched and repaired rather than trading in for a new one because they just, you know, they break it in, it shapes itself to your tools. Some belts are designed for specific trades, so again, match your tools to the belt because they're going to have a variety of different size pockets. And
so there's like carpenter's belts, electrician's belts.
Right, exactly. And then some belts have extra pouches with extra tool holders inside each pouch. So it's nice to look at. So Klein Tools was rated very high because of their pouches, that unique design. Some of the top rated tool belts, one is from AWP, Bucket Boss, DeWalt, Milwaukee, Klein Tools, and then McGuire Nicholas. And I have one of their tool belts. It's a thick leather, very heavy. And this thing, I should be able to hand down to my children and their children's children. So I should engrave it.
Yeah.
And McGuire Nicholas also has a bucket organizer that fits over a 5-gallon bucket. So this is pouches all around the outside. This wraps around the outside of a 5-gallon bucket. So you can keep all your tools organized like that. And that's a really nice alternative too. So if you have a handful of tools, a 5-gallon bucket, you know, and I had used that for a few years just to keep, you know, my circular saw and extension cords in one area. And this is a really nice organizer. They also have a bucket lid, So it turns your 5-gallon bucket into a seat. And they have 5-gallon bucket storage organizers. So these are little trays that are designed to slide inside a 5-gallon bucket.
Oh, really?
And then those are stackable.
Oh, cool.
So it's really, so this is another way to think about if I have a handful of tools,
right, yeah,
and I want to keep it organized. Just get a 5-gallon bucket, get one of these organizers for the bucket, and then you can get, a seat and drawers inside.
Fancy.
One other thing I would pick up would be a small parts organizer. So Stanley makes a nice assortment of these bins. They've got snap-on lids, a built-in handle, and all these compartments. Some of them are adjustable. So for all your small accessories, so nuts and bolts, replacement utility knife blades, any small electrical parts, wire nuts, wall anchors, you can keep all this in one place for your projects, and it just makes it very handy.
Well, and you don't have to worry about if you knock it over.
Right.
It's all snapped into place. Like my dad for years and years always had like pickle jars in the garage that had all the nuts and bolts. You'd have to dump them all out to try and find them. This is much better. Do you have anything else to add?
I would say just match your box or your bag to your tools and think about maybe having a couple so that you can keep them more organized. Your bags are going to keep your tools easily accessible. Boxes or belts are great for a small assortment of tools. And then rolling or modular are great if you have a wide variety of tools. I'm planning on doing a lot of projects. And I'd go online and take a look at these styles before you run out to the store because there's some very unique stuff now that you can pick up.
And make sure you put your tools away properly, too. If you're just going to, it doesn't really matter what you have. If you throw it into, a box, a bag, a bucket, and you're not putting it away correctly,
it's frustrating when you're trying to do a project.
And when you need to find a stud finder and there's nothing here. Let's wrap this up.
You can subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or Stitcher.
If you enjoyed it, please leave us a review.
You can check out our home improvement videos on our YouTube channel, Fix It Home Improvement.
You can subscribe to that as well.
You can download our book, Book 1, Home Improvement Solutions, What Every Homeowner Should Know. Soon, Book 2.
If you enjoyed it, please leave us a 5-star rating and review.
You can email us at fixitpodcast@gmail.com.
Thank you for listening.
Talk to you next week.